Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UCF Letters Packet Service. My name is Courtney Martinez, and I am our Letters Packet Coordinator. And today I'd like to walk you through an example of our Letters Packet request form. The first thing you need to do before beginning a request form is review all the information on our UCF Letters Packet webpage. The information here talks more about who's eligible to utilize our Letters Packet service, what a Letters Packet is, and a little bit more information that's helpful to know. Once you've done that, you can be ready to begin your letters packet request form. You will need your complete list of letter writers, including their contact information, their first name, last name, email address, that type of information in order to complete this form. So before you press begin, make sure that you have a complete list of all of the letter writers you would like to include on your form so that you'll be able to put those in. It is important to note that you will not be able to add additional letter writers at a later time. So if you have not confirmed your complete list of letter writers, you will need to wait and complete this form after you have confirmed your entire list. So for example, if you intend to have 5 letter writers in your packet, but you only have 4 of those letter writers confirmed and you're still pending one of them, it will be really important that you wait until you have confirmed all 5 of your letter writers so that you can put them on your request form. Once you submit your form, you're not able to go in and add additional letter writers later. But once you have your list together, then you'll be able to press begin. So let's look at an example of the request form. When you click on the begin form here page, this is the first page that will pop up, and this is the first section of our request form. On section 1, we'll learn more about where you're applying and if you've used our letters packet service before. In the first section, you will check the box of all the types of schools which you plan to apply. If you're only applying to dental school, then you can press dental. If you're applying to MD and DO programs, you can select both of those here. The next section will be an indication if you've already used our letters packet service in the past, and if you do plan to pull any files or letters that we might already have for you. If you do intend to reuse any letters, make sure that you press yes here. If this is your first time utilizing our letters packet service, then you will not select yes. And then finally, let us know if you're an early decision applicant. We only have a couple of people that apply early decision every year. But if this is you, we do want to be sensitive to your timeline. So please reach out via letterspacket@ucf.edu to let us know. Section 2 of the letters packet request form is where we collect your background and contact information. First, let us know how you would like to be identified using the pronouns here. If these do not apply to you, please feel free to select other and let us know how you would like to be identified. Then let us know your first name, your last name, your date of birth, UCF ID number, your NICE email address, a contact phone number, your major, the dates that you've attended UCF. And if you're still attending, you can put current, or you could put your expected end date. If you've already graduated, just let us know when that was. And then you do have to specify your graduation just below. So expected graduation would be those of you that are graduating in the future. Maybe you're graduating in December 2021. And then if you graduated in the past, go ahead and put that as well. And then here at the bottom, list any other college institutions that you've attended prior to UCF or attended while you were a student at UCF. So this can be classes that you transferred in or any institutions you attended maybe while you were a transient student. The example given is for Valencia. You could also, whichever institution it might have been, make sure you put the name of the institution and then also the time that you were there. So maybe you took a summer class at Seminole State. You could put that in. And then if you have more to add, you could do that as well, as many lines as you need to add. And this is helpful to us, especially if any of your letter writers are coming from these other institutions. This is really helpful information for us to know. In section 3, this is where you'll review our letters packet instructions. When you click on the box here, it will bring up the actual letters packet instruction manual. This manual is a comprehensive overview of what's important with the letters packet process. Why should you use it? Who's eligible? Important deadlines to know, information on what to expect as far as the timeline, emphasizing the web course, just lots of information that's really helpful. So we do want you to review that. This page is also linked in our letters packet webpage as well. After you've reviewed that form, go ahead and put your initials here to let us know that you've read and agreed to the instructions. Section 4 of the letters packet request form is our statements of agreement. These review several important statements and key things you should know when utilizing our letters packet service. After you've read them, type your initials under each of the statements to indicate that you agree. The first one reviews the eligibility requirements for utilizing our service, having a minimum GPA of a 3.0 or higher, having taken at least 30 credit hours of courses at UCF by the end of the spring 21 semester, and your intent to apply to medical or dental schools in the summer of 2021. The next section has to do with the importance of including all of your letter writers on your initial request form, and just emphasizing that you're not going to be given the opportunity to add letter writers at a later time. So it's important that you're submitting all of your letter writers on your form. The next section has to do with the order in which your final letters packet will be uploaded to your application. And here it states that we will submit your letters packets to your application service based on one, the initial timing that you submitted your request form to us, and then two, also the timing of when all of your letters have been received. So we don't subjectively skip ahead and prioritize people for any other reason except for the fact of when they submitted their letters packet request form and when all of their letters have been received. We always work in chronological order. The next section has to do with the letters packet web course, the 2022 Entering Letters Packet course. Once your letters packet request form, this form that you're completing here, once it's filled out, you will be enrolled in this web course within 5 to 10 business days. That's how you'll know that we've received and reviewed and approved your letters packet request. Another thing that it states here is the letters packet web course is where you're going to be able to check the status of your actual individual letters. And the timing, it can take 3 to 5 days from the time a letter writer submits their form or their letter to PHPL Advising for the letter status to be updated in the web course. This is because everything's done manually. Once we receive a letter, we do have to take time to review the letter, file it, and then update web courses, while also doing all the other parts of the letters packet process. So it's not an immediate upload, that's an automatic update. It is something that's done manually, and it does take about 3 to 5 days for that to happen. The next section just emphasizes being patient, respectful, and professional during this time. We are working really hard for you, and we do have some timelines in place to help keep us accountable to giving you a quick turnaround. And we also respect that. And we also expect that you respect those timelines and allow us the time that we need to do the best quality work for your letters packet. So on the front end, once we receive this official request form, please allow us 5 to 10 business days to process your request and add you into the web courses. On the back end, once we've received all of the components for your final letters packet, all of your letters, your autobiography, if you're including that, your request form, so we have access to your application. Once we receive everything, then it should take 5 to 10 business days for us to upload your final packet to your application system. So like I said, we're working really hard for you to make sure that we can get your letters uploaded in a timely fashion. And we just ask that you remain professional and polite and give us that time to work. The next section reviews the suggested due dates for submitting your letters packet request. And these are dates that are kind of zones, and they're really to give you an indication of if you're doing great, if you're ahead of schedule, if you're on schedule, or if you're just meeting the final deadline for requesting your letters to be compiled. So this is not when your letters have to be in, and this is not when your letters packet's going to be uploaded to your application. This is when you submit this initial form that we're reviewing to our office to request the letters. So the initial deadline or zone is May 17th for 2021. The second zone is June 14th for 2021. And the final deadline is August 2nd. So by August 2nd, anytime after that, we will no longer be accepting any new requests to utilize our letters packet service for that application cycle. And then the final section indicates that there's many times in which you can and you should submit your primary application prior to your letters packet being uploaded by PHPL advising to your application service. So this is basically saying if you're ready to submit your AMCAS, ACOMAS, or ADSAS for verification, but your letters haven't been uploaded yet, that's okay. That's normal. Don't wait on us uploading your letters to get your application verified. We're going to upload your letters within 5 to 10 business days of everything being received, but that shouldn't delay your process with verification. So submit your application when you're ready. Health professional schools are used to and usually expect to receive different parts of the application at different times. So that's not going to be something that holds you up if your letters haven't been submitted on the front end. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that you're submitting your primary application when you're ready. The fifth section of our letters packet is called waiver want non-waiver indication. And this has to do with your FERPA rights. So as a UCF student, you are protected by law and you have access to view any documents that we have for you in our office. And that does include your letters. However, from a health professional school perspective, if you have viewed your letters, we have to indicate that on your letters packet and let the admissions programs know that you have viewed your letters. In that case, most of the time, your letters are considered void and they're not used in the application process. And that can be a problem for the admissions committee. So because of that, we do ask you to waive your FERPA rights to view your letters of recommendation with our office. There's more information that you can click on the links embedded here to read a little bit more about this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at letterspacket@ucf.edu about our waiver indication. When you type your initials here, that's indicating to us that you wish to waive your right of access to view all of the information in your letters packet, keeping your packet and your letters of recommendation confidential. In the sixth section of our letters packet request form, you start your letter writer list. And this is the main meat of your letters packet request form, where you will start to put in your individual letter writers so that we can reach out to them. It is important to note that you must include a minimum of 3 letter writers in order to utilize our service. If you're only using 1 or 2 letters, unfortunately, you won't be able to use our letters packet service. We do need a minimum of 3. However, on the flip end, up to a maximum of 5 total letter writers. So you're not able to include a 6th or 7th letter writer in your letters packet. So somewhere in a range between 3 and 5 is how many letters you can use with our letters packet service. We suggest that you get letters from 5 total people, 2 science faculty members, 1 non-science faculty member, and 2 character references. And this is because if you do this, most of the time you'll meet the requirements at all of the different programs you're applying to. Every medical school and every dental school is going to have a little bit of a different preference in what's required for their letters. Some schools might say you need 3 letters of recommendation. It doesn't matter who they're from, just 3 letters. Other schools might say you need 4 letters of recommendation, 1 science letter, 1 non-science letter, and 2 character references. Ultimately, those are just examples to state that every school has their own requirements. So in general, if you use this breakdown of the 2 science, 1 non-science, 2 character, that should cover the spread and the quantity of letters you need for most programs. However, we always recommend that once you have your list of schools together that you're applying to, that you review their admissions requirements and make sure that your letters packet is going to include the right number of letters and the right people writing your letters. Here on this page, I'll open it up so you can see, we do have a breakdown of all of the Florida and medical dental schools and their requirements for letters of recommendation. So you can see here, UCF College of Medicine, and then what they have stated on their website. And we pull this directly from each program's website, and it was last updated. This one, 121. I know this page says 420. It just didn't update all the way through. So we'll go back and make sure that's correct. But this has been updated at this point of recording the video in January. Once we kind of go through the application cycle, we'll try to keep this updated every so many months or so. So I'd imagine sometime in April or May, we'll update this. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to make sure that what the letters included in your letters packet are going to meet the requirements of the schools you're applying to. Ultimately, you're able to choose what goes in your letters packet based on your needs. The only requirements is that a total of minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 letters. You're not required to submit the suggested amount or types of letters that we've suggested for you. However, like I've said before, we encourage you to make sure that your letters are going to meet the requirements at your schools. So ultimately, whatever you put in this request form is what we're going to put in your letters packet. We're not going to review your schools for you and make sure that they meet the requirements. That's your responsibility. Our responsibility is to complete the packet the way that you tell us to in this request form. One other thing I'll note about letter writers is that a faculty member, what constitutes faculty, what doesn't constitute faculty. Faculty are people that have taught you in a class. So they need to be not only just a faculty member on campus, but they need to be a faculty member to you. So they need to be able to speak about your academic performance in a course that they taught. That's what faculty means. So if you're in a lab and your research PI is a faculty member, but you've never taken an official course with them, they would be considered a character reference for you. They would not be able to be utilized as a faculty member in your situation. Other things for character references, this is also where you could put your doctors or your dentists that you shadowed, employers, or anything along those lines. Okay, so letter writer number 1. This is the format that you will have to complete for every letter writer that you include on your packet. Remember, anywhere from 3 to 5 total letters. The first thing you'll do is let us know if your letter is new or if it's a reused letter. If this is your first time using our letters packet service, your letter will be new. If this is a letter that we have on file from you from a previous application cycle, you would press reuse. Then you would indicate the type of letter. Is this a science faculty member, a non-science faculty member, or a character reference? And remember, those things are all in relationship to you as the applicant. Then let us know how the letter writer should be identified using the pronouns below. If you're not sure, then you can press unknown. However, if you do have an idea, it is helpful to let us know as we correspond with these letter writers so that we can make sure that we're identifying them appropriately. And the first and the last name of your letter writer. And then let us know their credentials. So if they're a dentist, you can select either one of the dentist credentials. If they're a doctor, either one of the doctor credentials. Maybe they're an MD, PhD, you can select that. If they're none of the above, maybe they're somebody that you work for, but they don't have any of these credentials. That's okay. You don't have to answer this question. You can leave it blank. If they have other and you want to specify, you're more than happy to. The most important thing is that for these 5 sections or these 5 options, PhD, MD, DO, DMD, DDS, that we're aware of that because we want to make sure that that's on their letter when they sign your letter, that they put your credentials on there so that if a school requires that you have a DO letter, for example, that your letter indicates that it's a DO letter. So it's really important that we can make sure that these 5 credentials in particular are evident on your actual letter. Then let us know the email address for the letter writer. And if you did take any classes with this person, also let us know that. So this would be for any faculty members that you took a course with. let us know what course it was and what semester it was. And we do share this information with the letter writer themselves as we reach out to request your letter. And this is helpful to them to jog their memory and make sure they can look up who you are, see your face in the photo, be able to look up what your grade you got in the course, all of those types of things. So make sure that if you did take a class with them, that it's indicated here so we can help them with that process. If you didn't take class with them, that's okay. Just leave it blank and move on to the next section. This would be letter writer 2. At the top, we have reminders of the breakdowns that we suggest and the minimum and maximum limits for your letters. And then you see the same form that you completed on the previous section. We will need to complete this form in order to move on to the next section. So I'm going to run through it quickly. But overall, it is exactly the same each time you complete a section for a letter writer. For this one, I'm going to leave it as blank. And then make sure that you include an email. And then letter writer number 2. Or number 3, I'm sorry. So same here. Reminders at the top, and then the same list of questions. New or reused, the type of letter writer, pronouns, first name, Martinez for me, last name, email address, and then any classes. What's different when you get to this page, which is your third letter writer, you're asked a question that says, do you wish to add another letter writer to your packet? Because remember, you have to include a minimum of 3. So up until this point, you didn't have the option to not include more. You had to include a second and a third letter. But now that you've met the minimum requirement, you have the option to include a 4th and a 5th. If you say yes, it will bring you to the next page so that you can add a 4th letter writer, and then it will be the same thing for the 5th letter writer. For today's purposes, we're going to press no because we've been through the form for the letter writer section a few times now. And like I said, it looks exactly the same for letter writer 4 and 5. So section number 7 of the letters packet request form has to do with the autobiography. The autobiography is an optional portion of the letters packet where you get to talk more about yourself and give context to your life. When you click on the button here, it brings you to a page where it talks more about what is the autobiography and how it's different than your personal statement. So you're welcome to read more about that. And if this is something that you would like to include with your letters, then you would just press yes here. Yes, I intend to include an autobiography with my letters packet. If you choose yes, you will not have to upload your autobiography to this form. You will need to upload your autobiography to the web course as an assignment. So previously for letters packet, we had you upload it to the request form. This year, we want to give you a little bit more flexibility and time to work on it. So we're going to utilize the web course. And basically, we'll treat this as another letter. So we won't upload your packet until we receive all pieces of your letters packet request. So your letters, and then if you choose to use an autobiography, we'll also be waiting on your autobiography. So that's how you'll get that to us if you decide to include an autobiography. If you read this information and decide you don't want to include an autobiography, that's okay. You would just press no. For today's purposes, we'll press yes so you guys can see the next section. And this is just kind of a final reminder that for the autobiography section, we're not going to upload your letters packet without your autobiography. So as I mentioned before, if you choose to include an autobiography, which is a great feature, we will essentially treat it as another letter on your web courses, and as far as our purposes, having all of the components that we need in order to form your letters packet, your final letters packet. So basically, once we receive all of your letters, we also want to make sure that you've submitted your autobiography at that point. Because if we've received all your letters, but not your autobiography, we're still not going to upload your packet because you told us that you wanted to include an autobiography. So at that point, we're waiting on you to get that over to us. We're not going to email you and ask you for your autobiography. That's all going to be on you. So this is just a reminder that that's your responsibility to make sure that you get this in. So you have more flexibility and time to work on your autobiography if you want to include one, but also just be aware you don't want that to be something that delays you in this process. So just put your initials at the bottom. And then section 8 is the final section of the letters packet request form. And this is just information, just recapping before you officially submit, letting us know that everything that you've included is true and accurate and you're ready to submit this form. A reminder that you shouldn't wait on us to upload your letters packet to your primary application before you submit your primary application for verification. You should always submit your application when it's ready to be submitted. So it's completely independent of your letters of recommendation. Health professional schools are used to receiving different pieces of your application at different times, but they can't do anything with your file until they have an application from you. So make sure that you're submitting your application when you want to submit your application, when you're ready, not based off of your letters of recommendation timeline. A final reminder just of the autobiography that you're going to upload that to the web course and that you will be added to the web course within 5 to 10 days of submitting this request. So you'll just sign there to indicate that all that's correct. And then just kind of another reminder that when you press this button down here, you're going to be submitting your letters packet request form for this cycle. You're not going to be able to add more letter writers later. A note to download a copy of your form on the next page so that you have it for your records. It's not going to get emailed to you, so I'll show you in a second how you can download that. And then again, a reminder for the web course, 5 to 10 business days, you'll be added in to the web course. So press submit. And this little message up here says, thank you for your time. Your response has been recorded. And this is the indication that your request form has successfully been submitted to our letters packet committee in the pre-health and pre-law advising office. And this gives you a summary of everything that you completed. And this is where it's really important that you download your PDF so that you have a copy of it for your records in case you need to reference it for any reason. This will be the only way you can get a copy of it. And it will download as a PDF that you can save to your computer or print, whichever way you prefer. So that is our letters packet request form for the 2021-2022 application cycle. And you can begin this form on our letter packet webpage, which is here. The link to begin the form is all the way at the very bottom where it says begin letters packet request.